Well, good morning, everybody. Just want to bring a message of hope and encouragement today, which is something really greatly needed. Obviously, you're not immune to what we hear and see every day. And the last couple of weeks have been unique and interesting for us as a society, even as families, communities, things like that. But actually, I was reminded of this a while ago. Our oldest son Zeke asked me if aliens existed. And I won't go into that conversation, but it did remind me of, we are not alone. Not about aliens, but just about as we walk through this life, even these challenges we currently are facing, and we're not alone. And I was reminded about Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, which commonly known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in the fiery furnace, and how they were thrown into the fiery furnace. And you can read the reference for yourself in the book of Daniel. And I believe it's probably chapter 3, but you can go read it for yourself. But when the king threw them in there, obviously they were unfazed by the fire, but the king said, did we not throw 3 men in the fire, and yet I see 4, right? Because they weren't alone in their walk and their struggle that they walked in that day, and it's no different for us here. It's your choice, right? How we're going to walk, how we're going to live this life. Whether we walk with the Lord or we choose not to. It is a choice that we've all been given freely. But I want to encourage you that you don't have to walk this course alone. You don't have to face these challenges that we're currently facing alone, be it health or financial, or whatever the challenge may be. We are not alone, and we have a choice that He can walk with us. And I just want to share a story real quick. It's about a story about Roland Bingham. And you can Google him and find out who he was. He was a missionary in the early 1900s. He was from England, but he lived in Canada for quite a while. But he had a heart to go to Africa. And in fact, he ended up founding SIM, which is the Sudan Interior Mission, which now is a great sending organization for missionaries. But the point about Roland isn't really about all that he did. It really is just about who he was. And he understood he didn't walk alone, that he really, the Lord walked with him. And I guess I would say he walked with the Lord. And therefore he did great things in the early 1900s because he walked with the Lord. So I'm going to read this story. This story actually is, he was traveling back to Nigeria. This is later in his life. It was the early 1930s. And the story just of God's provision. Like, God cares about the little things in our life. It's not just the big stuff. He cares about little things. He cares about each of us individually, and that means a lot. So I'll read the story. Just pretend it's story time. If you're watching this in the morning, sitting there in your jammies, just enjoy it. Okay. So I'll start out. Everything went smoothly, and Roland set out from Lagos, Nigeria, in a Ford V8 sedan to see the 3 new hospitals. So he's in Nigeria going to visit these 3 new hospitals that they've established. Traveling with him were 3 nurses and Dr. Albert Hessler, a veteran missionary who had volunteered to supervise the running of the hospitals. When Roland reached Mina, about 350 miles from the coast, he fell ill and was soon sent to bed. The following morning, Albert urged him to stay in bed and rest. But Roland wanted to keep going. He was determined to cover the remaining 300 miles to the hospital that day. I don't want to hold anyone up, Roland told Albert, but I must admit I would feel better if I could just nibble on some unsalted almonds. I do believe they would settle my stomach. Okay, so again, 1930s, early 1930s, in the bush of Nigeria, Roland is asking for unsalted almonds to settle his stomach. All right? Albert shook his head. I am sorry, he said, but I've been in Nigeria for 15 years, and I have never seen anything but a few salted almonds brought in by the English people for Christmas. And it is a long time after Christmas now. But Roland would not relent. He said, I think they would do me good. Would you mind going out to the nearest shop? Come here, you can sit with me. Going out to the nearest shop and seeing if they have any chance, by chance, have some. Come here. Someone wants to join the video. This is Abigail. All right. So Roland asks, so he says, go anyway. Albert's like, it's unsalted almonds. We're in the middle of Nigeria. We're not going to have any, right? But Roland was persistent, okay? Um, so the doctor agreed and left Roland to pack his clothes. He returned 20 minutes later with a look of wonderment on his face. You'll never guess what happened, right? Albert exclaimed. I asked the shopkeeper for almonds, and he said that he had just received a shipment of them. Again, 1930s, in Nigeria, a shipment of almonds took months to get there. But he has a shipment he just received. He told him he had never had them before. What are you doing? He had no idea who would buy them, and he would never order them again. And they are unsalted. All right? The little things matter. Okay? The little things matter. I don't like almonds. And I don't care if they're salted or unsalted, but I don't like almonds. But obviously Roland did, and he had a need for them at the time. And months before Roland was in Nigeria, God had purposed or sent this need to meet Roland. I mean, this is one guy. I don't know how many people lived on the earth back at that time, the early 1930s. Let's say there was 3 billion, 4 billion people. This is one of 4 billion people that just walked with the Lord and knew he wasn't alone. And God had provided for him long before he ever was in Nigeria, right? Okay, the provision was before before Roland even knew he needed almonds. The Lord made provision because he saw it, the end from the beginning. Like we're not alone. That's my point. We don't have to live this life alone. Okay, but we're not done yet. Here we go. Roland said a quick prayer of thanks as they climbed into the ford and headed off on their way north. The almonds, which Roland nibbled on all the way, kept his stomach settled as they traversed the deeply rutted roads. As they neared the town, Roland said, I wonder if they would have any tins of chocolate milk here. We are not in North America, Albert chuckled. Though, when we get to the mission station, I am sure someone could mix some chocolate in a glass of powdered milk for you. No, said Roland, pointing to a small shop ahead. I have an idea they might have some tins of chocolate milk in that shop, and I could drink it right away. Will you stop and see? Now listen, I like chocolate milk just as much as the next guy. In fact, I like it a lot, right? Okay, that's not a need. That's a desire for chocolate milk that Roland had, again, middle of Nigeria, 1930s. We were just in Uganda back in November, and we were in the bush. And I tell you what, we were in the bush. There was no electricity. Certainly wasn't in any stores that had unsalted almonds or chocolate milk. I mean, I'm just saying, some parts of Africa are still very remote. So that's almost 100 years ago. Okay, back to the chocolate milk. All right, so Roland said, that shop over there, I feel like I have an inclination that they would have some. So Albert obediently pulled over, though from the look on his face, Roland could see that he thought the idea of chocolate milk in this place was far-fetched. The two men got out of the vehicle and walked into the shop. Do you have any chocolate milk? Albert asked the shopkeeper. Oh, the shopkeeper frowned. No, we never have anything like that here, he said. Roland was surprised by his answer. He felt sure that there was chocolate milk somewhere in the store. That's that Holy Spirit intuition. We're not alone. They had just stepped out of the door when the shopkeeper called them back. Now that I think of it, there is a box in the back of my shop that came in by mistake. I haven't opened it because I was going to return it. But it did say something about chocolate milk on the outside. And sure enough, it was an entire case of chocolate milk imported from the U.S. Once again, Roland thanked God for supplying all his needs, even in the middle of Nigeria. I tell you what, next time you have anxiety or worry or fret about what's going on in your life currently, all those kind of things, I want you to remember unsalted almonds and chocolate milk. Roland was no one special. He just understood that he wasn't alone, that he could walk with the Lord, and the Lord would provide for him. And in various ways. I mean, it's not that you just sit and twiddle your thumbs. No, walking with the Lord it takes it takes, I mean, it takes effort. It takes it takes a decision. It really takes a decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to walk my way anymore. I really am going to walk with the Lord and actually care and ask what He has for me, right? So listen, you don't have to fight this battle on your own. There is hope. There is hope today. There is hope every day, and it is always there. And just be reminded, again, early 1930s, back in the day, in the bush of Nigeria, Roland was provided for unsalted almonds and chocolate milk that seemed impossible to get where they were, but God made a way, right? So He has a way right now. He's not surprised by what we're going through, and He has already made provision for us in whatever that need might be. He's already made the provision. Just got to walk with Him, right? So God bless. Have a wonderful day, wonderful week, whenever you're watching this. Shout out to my friends in Uganda if you're watching this. Zach, if you're seeing this, I got kids that are brushing up their Farkle skills, so you might want to work on yours. Anyhow, blessings to all of you, to my Thailand friends. If you're watching this, we miss you, wish we could see you, but I know we will at some point in the near future. So God bless. See y'all later.